In today's video, we're going to have a preview of the new Tier 9 Italian heavy tank, the PROGETTO C50 Mod 66. But before we do that, I quickly want to give you a little bit of an input because the Rinoceronte was already nerfed. I'm going to go over the differences which it's going to make in another video, where we're also going to predict how the premium tank is going to be released and how or when this tank tree is coming to come anyway. But point is, Wargaming decided to change the interclip reload from 3 to 4 seconds. And this is why this new PROGETTO C66 will also have this 4 seconds interclip, which kind of sounds long if you would have compared it to the 3 seconds of the 490 Alpha gun. So just so you know, this is how it is right now. 400 Alpha, 4 second interclip reload time with 3 rounds, giving us a burst of 1208 seconds. The gun anyway isn't that bad either. Sure, 242 base penetration isn't that great. 303 millimeters of heat penetration, that is acceptable. It's a little bit better than what the IS-32 has to offer, but nothing compared to something like a T10 or the M103. And it has 515 Alpha with HE, or excuse me, it is HESH with 120 millimeters of penetration. The reload times are 17 for your first round, 15 for your second, and 11 for your third, giving us a total reload time of 43 seconds until you have 3 shots in your auto reloader. Now, yeah, the reloading time pretty decent at that point, you know. 4 seconds, I'd say that sounds a lot more balanced. And I have to say it feels a lot fairer than what you have else. Like if you want to have a true feeling of the 4 seconds, go play the Shard Futur 4 and know a lot of people saying, nah, I don't like it because the interclip is way too long. But then again, one thing which is very interesting though, and I have to say isn't that bad. The PROGETTO 66 has actually better base DPM than a T10, which can mount a tank gun rammer. It actually has much better base DPM than the standard B, which is just at 1963. And that is respectable. It's genuinely respectable. And I have to say, I don't mind that. I don't mind that their rounds or their standard rounds aren't that bad, you know. They aren't that, how should I say, the base DPM isn't trash just because it has an auto reloader. The question will be how exactly the improvements to the auto reloader will change the reload time, you know, for your rounds, because now you obviously have a 4 seconds interclip, so you will probably get some. You don't need to reload 15 seconds for the second round if you are starting to shoot because of this improved auto reloader, but that's just a pure guesswork right now. I do have to say 2181 base DPM, that's alright, and the 8 second burst, that's alright as well. And the 43 seconds total reload time, this is quite long obviously, because you will most likely going to get into troubles when you want to go on maps like Ensk, where you can shoot at the cross and something. Personally, I had a lot of issues when I was on Ensk with the standard B. I simply wasn't able to reload my third round. I simply was constantly staying at the second round with the 13 seconds right here or the 15 seconds right here reload time, because I simply wanted to keep on shooting because there were targets up and Ensk is such a small map. Now, when we go at the bigger picture and have a look at the accuracies on the move and so on and so forth, you will see it is definitely not like the Tier 10 vehicle. The Tier 10, yes, got slightly nerfed in that regard, but it still has a 1.7 seconds aim time. Our Tier 9 fella right here only has 2.7. That is quite a lot longer. So sure, accuracy is 0.36. That is great. That is a very, very good value for a Tier 9 heavy tank. It is even better than what the standard B has. It is also quite faster than what the IS-32 has, but it's only slightly faster than what the T10 has. The accuracies on the whole traverse are 20, and for the turret it's 14. And if you want to look at that, go watch the 50-120. It has the exact same values as the tank, even with the same aim time and accuracy, if I am not mistaken. And lastly, this tank has 9 degrees of gun impression, which is also very, very respectable, I would say. But you can work with that quite great. 25 degrees per second turret traverse, that's alright. That's totally fine. 28 degrees of hull traverse, that is alright. I do have to point out though, I am a little bit disappointed by the mobility. I was thinking that this tank will most likely be quite fast, also around the 50 kph top speed. But it isn't. It is 45 kph top speed with just 12 kilometers per hour reverse speed, and that is quite bad. Why is it quite bad? Let's be honest. You always want to get back into cover as quick as possible if you're driving in reverse, and just having 12 kph, that is very bad. It's slow. And just having that already in my mind, I think that quite some people will start to probably favor the turbocharger for this tank. So you have like vents in your first slot, stabilizer, vertical stabilizer, and the turbocharger. It also depends, obviously, if you want to get improved configurations. Maybe the tank has a very weak ammo rack, stuff like that. We don't know yet, you know. But I probably am going to use the turbocharger, even though I play tanks like the T-77, which is also very, very weak ammo rack. And improved configurations would be a very handy thing to take. I still think the turbocharger is a lot better, because getting hit in your ammo rack is a 9% chance, or getting, when it's hit, that it gets damaged is around the 9% chance, if I'm not mistaken. Or, no, excuse me, there's a 30% chance, excuse me. Getting ammo racked in the second shot would be a 9% chance. That was my mistake. Yeah, it's a 30% chance that you get a damaged ammo rack if it gets hit, you know, and not immediately destroyed. So I think with this tank, if you don't go for improved rotation mechanism, which is actually not that good, you know, because it also makes your bloom go bigger because you turn fast your turret and your hull, I think that turbocharger would be great, because yeah, 13.8 HP per ton ratio is actually worse than what the IS-32 and the T10 has to offer. Sadly, we don't know the terrain resistances, but they looked like they won't be that good, especially when we look at the Tier 10. The Tier 10 also has very, very bad terrain resistances. Yeah, we'll see. Sure, 45 kph top speed is quite a big improvement over the IS-32, but then again, I would have taken 40 kph top speed and also 15 kph reverse speed, and that I would have been a lot happier with that, to be honest. And yeah, the standard BB can't compare it with. It's basically a Leopard PTA hull, so it is a very, very fast and very nimble vehicle. But yeah, the T10 of our heaviums right here, he will be the top dog. Now, lastly, to the survivability. It has a crew of 4, so you will lose your loader when you go to the Tier 10, and the commander and the accuracy man will be the loaders, or will have the loader skills. Makes sense, to be honest, because it most likely is an auto reloader or an auto loader reloader, so there is no input of those people, I guess, in canonically stuff. So yeah. 4 crew members is still good. It's good for the Tier 8 premium, which also has 4 crew members. Hit points 1,850, pretty decent. It's more than what the IS-32 and T10 has to offer, but not by a lot. And the armor, look. The armor is actually very hard to already say how it's going to be. 130 doesn't sound too bad. 70, yeah, that does sound bad, this side armor, you know. Side scrapping won't be your favorite. The turret armor also sounds very decent, 195, and it's basically everything angled. 105mm side turret armor is also not that bad. And 390 of view range, yeah, workable. Definitely workable. You might decide to not take the turbocharger and go for vents, but I do think with a pretty decent crew, with both view range skills, with Brothers in Arms, with rations, and the vents in the first slot, so you get the 6% vents, you should be able to go to 445 meters of view range, which is a nice thing to have, you know. But let's have a quick look at the tank in general, how it looks, and let's try to have a little bit of guesstimation how the armor will be. The good thing is the tank has a very nice angle, and it looks like that everything is angled except for the gun mantlet. So it feels a little bit like the Object 263 in that regard, and it should probably have pretty decent armor. I do think that it will most likely have around 220 to maybe 250 millimeters of frontal armor on the turret effective when it's standing on a flat ground. Please don't forget, this thing has 9 degrees of gun impression, so you will get a pretty decent effective armor on your turret. And as you can see, maybe this is right here a weak spot, but it doesn't really look like it has a lot of weak spots, especially on a turret. So not that happy about that. Maybe the gun mantlet is the weak spot. It's pretty big, and it looks like it is also kind of flat if we look right here. The hull, on the other hand, it's very hard. It's to say what it is. It kind of looks like it's going to be an American hull in that regard. So maybe this spot right here, the lip, is the thickest part. Maybe we can hope that the upper front plate is homogeneous 135, but most likely lower plate will be paper as fuck. But then again, when we looked at the premium Progetto, it also doesn't have that good of upper front plate armor. Sure, in theory this part was pretty thick, but the rest was meh. Only if you go into hull down position, the armor started to work out very well because of the angling. And here you can also see it. It looks like this might be part of a weak spot, this one right here. But other than that, hard to judge really. Hard to really judge. I guess this picture is the best we have because it is HD. The others were just from the video, you know, we had to rip. Yeah, it looks like it will have a pretty decent turret armor. Maybe the gun mantle will be the biggest mistake, or not the biggest mistake, the biggest weak spot, because as you can see, it is kind of flat right here. The hull will be hard to say how thick it will be. Maybe this upper part will even be thinner, who knows. We have some tanks like this, like the Kampfpanzer 50T. But yeah, in conclusion, I do have to say I don't think this tank is going to be incredibly overpowered. Like with the Progettos, they have a very quick clip and great mobility. This tank is, sure, it has more armor, but I do like that Wargaming went for the 4-second interclip, to be honest. Also for the tier 10. Because in 3 seconds having 1400 burst, yeah, 1470 burst, well, was a little bit too much. But now, 8 seconds for 1200, I think that's alright. I really do think it's alright, to be honest. Let me know in the comment section below what you think. I will be interested to know, because I'm always a little bit distant from those Progettos, because I always think they will be very easy, very strong. But with this 4-second interclip, I kind of feel like it's going to be much more, and with a quite punishing bad DPM, you know, when you fuck it up. I think that it will be only used to kill one target in a 1v1 scenario, or in maybe where you want to get the maximum out of your game at the big end of the game, or when you are the last one surviving and you have like 3 people in front of you, you just clip and say, you know what, I take it. It's 1200 damage or 400 damage. I take the 1200 damage, you know. Very good for gun mark, obviously. But the main advantage the mediums have is a much quicker clip time, you know, to get the burst damage out. And the mobility, obviously. And this thing definitely doesn't have great mobility, but we'll see. I'm looking forward to see if this tank is going to the test server very soon, or if it will be in a super test also very soon with the damage models. My name is RagingRaptor. Don't forget to give me some feedback which I can improve on. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel to be always up to date with your latest World of Tanks informations, and I'll see you around. Cheers, my dudes.